One of the other key things that you have talked about a lot with me before is the systems that you've implemented and processes and how those have helped you really scale not only your team, but your internal and external capabilities, your customer experience, how you interact with your clients. Can you talk a little bit about some of those systems, how you put them in place, how they help you, and what they do for you, what they have done for you?
I think systems are hypercritical in scaling a business. Now, you can run a small business and you can do a few $100,000 or $1 million a year and you can run it all out of your brain, but you're not going to grow that much because you become the weak link. And I've done it. And I would go, how come I can't grow this business? What's going on? Oh, wait a minute. I'm the weakest link. And I think in construction, it's kind of like the snowball starts rolling down the hill and we're just kind of going down this hill and things pick up momentum and you start getting clients and you start doing work and the work keeps coming in and you're going so fast. And the speed that we have to operate and this problem and this problem and this problem and this problem, I like to call it whack-a-mole. You ever played that game? Take the kids to Chuck E. Cheese or whatever and you're just whacking. But really what makes a big difference as an owner or as a manager or as somebody that has a place to control what's going on is to slow down a little bit. If you let it, construction will drive you 100 miles an hour for the rest of time. You're never going to get caught up. So you have to make that pause happen. You have to create that pause, sit back, look at your business from 30,000 feet or look at your department that you manage from 30,000 feet and say, hey, what can I do to extend my abilities as a manager or as an owner? What can I do to extend my team's abilities? And I think something that construction is really known for, the systems are oftentimes just lacking. We're running down that hill so fast and the momentum's going. And so we're just playing this whack-a-mole and just trying to get to the next thing. By the time you solve the next problem, boom, the other one's already popped up and boom, then the next one. And we're just trying to get to the next day. And in construction, we've got to step back a little bit, look at those problems from a higher level and find out how we can extend the team's abilities. So from what we've found, that slowing down a little bit is super hard to do and super valuable. So you're thinking, oh, wow, I need to be out on the job site. I need to be managing. I need to be doing these things. You might actually need to just be still for a minute. You might just need to sit in your office with no noise and no phone and think about where you want to go and what things in your business you've been avoiding. I'm guilty of this. What's that big problem that's in the room that you've been pushing? Well, I'm real busy, so I can just deal with it later. Well, then you look up and it's 2 or 3 or 6 years later and somebody else, they handled that problem. They kicked your ass. So we've got to take those problems. We've got to tackle them head on. I'm not trying to grind this out, taking 100 phone calls a day, playing whack-a-mole for the next 40 years. Are you? Yeah. Hell no. But we see people do it. I know guys that are 70 years old and they're doing everything exactly the same as they did when they were 30. And they've made some money and they've done okay. But are they at a peaceful and comfortable state in their life? No. But they could have been. And I think systems are a big part of that. So you have to step back and you have to map out how your business works. And you've got to find a way to create processes so that things don't get lost. And I digressed a minute there. I want to go back to a point that construction has been in this rut. And I call it hiring unicorns. And so you look at a lot of businesses and how they operate. You look at the field ops manager, or you look at, that head estimator, maybe the project executive that runs a whole team, maybe the president in a bigger organization. They're a unicorn. They're a 1% guy. They're very special in the way that their brain works. They can handle more shit than most people and that big project can't run without it. Well, that's a big deal. What if he's out for a week? What if something happens, heaven forbid, he has an accident and you don't have a system to accommodate information, and now your unicorn leaves and everything crumbles. So construction has got to really wake up about hiring the unicorns. You can't scale hiring 1%. There's not that many 1% guys. That's how percentage works. You've got to be able to hire, and you've got to be able to put in place good people that identify with the core values, hard workers. You can't give up on that, but you can't hire the 1% guy for every position. You got to be able to hire maybe they're in the 80% or the 70% or the 60% upper end of the population of they can follow the things that you do and they can work really hard and identify with those values. And so you've got to build a system so that person can function just as well in the business. The 60% person, the 80% person, the 1% person can still function just as well in the business. And I think that's what systems really do. They allow you to scale. And yes, you've got to have good people, but it doesn't have to be that one unicorn that's so hard to find. And do you see this, Scott? Do you see this in the businesses that you deal with? The one unicorn or the 6 unicorns, maybe they're at the top end of a company. Everything comes to them. And if there's a problem with them, goes to shit.
Yes, we see that all the time. One of the other things systems do for you and processes is it allows the 1%ers you do have, it allows them to scale their department. Those 1%ers, and one thing that 1%ers have in common is you need to grow because they're going to want to do something different and they're going to want to grow and hire and teach and train and do things. And you need those systems and processes to help them do exactly what you needed to do. And on top of that, one of the things we've always talked about is, you kind of hit the nail on the head, is getting on top of your business instead of in your business. And one of the things we hear a lot of our business owners tell us as they've grown from maybe 1 million to 3 or 4 or 5 million, and they become essentially a unicorn running around doing everything, and they're barely holding on and having everything in their head. And this is the key. One of the things they say to us is, I'm getting the same paycheck right now that I had when I was a $1 million company as I am when I'm a $5 million company.
Yep.
And so
happens a lot.
If you're listening to this and that's you, the systems and the process are the difference between you having the same paycheck with 100 times more stress as you grow your business, or actually eliminating some of that stress while you're actually able to have more than just a single paycheck, same as you did when you were only a $1 million company.
The GC that I worked at, I think they did 600 million last year, good size operation. And they didn't have a good system for pay apps. Didn't have one. It was just up to the project manager to make sure they didn't miss anything. It wasn't documented. Nobody was checking on it. If something got missed, like literally if they didn't turn in an owner pay app, there was no check and balance to make sure that happened. And we see it, really, really see it in subcontracting. I mean, it's a shit show. And we're built to do a lot of projects, a lot of volume. And to do that, you have to manage the information. So, and you know this really well, pay apps and getting all that billing done in a month, at 20th, 15th to 25th, depending on what the job requires, that time frame, those, 7 to 10 days of the month, the business hinges on that shit. You cannot screw that up. Got a random GC has a pay app due on the 5th. That's kind of an oddball. But if you do it on the 25th, guess what? It's getting pushed to the next 5th. And you just miss 30 days worth of cash flow. Big problem. So that happens 2 or 3 times and you're like, wow, this is not something we can continue. So we make a list of all the jobs that are active, and that way we check off, what happens. You can do it in Excel, you can do it. We do web-based systems. We use Monday.com because you can do it on your phone, on your computer. It's cloud-based, so everybody can see the information. It's very modular, so you can make a list, talk to another list. But the basic idea is you create a list of every pay app that has to be done, how much the amount was for, what the retainage is, and then that flows to the bottom line. Now you know exactly what your billing was for the month. Well, the other part was, projects were not getting predicted correctly as to what was available to bill during the month. And so you just get to the 20th and, okay, well, this is how much we did, so it's in the pay app. That was not a proactive manner of managing the money and the cash flow. And so we started we use the same list. So the list that's got the pay apps, now that gets an analysis on the first of the month of what work is ahead of us for the next 30 days. What are we going to do? I know on the 3rd what my billing is going to be on the 30th. So from a cash flow standpoint, now I get another extra 30 days to know what the hell's going on, and I can work with that. Also, from a field management standpoint, now our team knows, okay, well, we got these to do. Oh, whoa, we're going to be a little bit short because we start dividing these up. And we know on the 1st that about the middle of the month, we're going to have kind of a flood of stuff to do. We need to accommodate that. We just bought a couple of extra weeks. We're not going to get that pissed off superintendent asking us why we're there, or we're not there because we already predicted this. So that whole predictive, proactive nature of that system really allows us to move quickly.
That's key. I mean, without getting those pay apps done, doing them correctly on time, not missing things, being proactive. I mean, in a world where you're paid once a month and you only have the ability to invoice once a month, if you mess it up, it's catastrophic.
Absolutely, it could be. Yeah, I remember the early days of the business. I don't come from any money. My dad's a firefighter. My mom's a nurse. We did not have any advantages. Alicia, my wife, and I, we do this together, and we started this from 0 and almost went broke a few times as we were working through things in cash flow. And that's the deal. The first 2 or 3 years of the business, cash flow was the deal. That was what could have made or broken us a few times in a row. And I think we're at a point now where we're able to have facilities in place to manage that, but you got to manage the money coming in and coming out, and a system really is the way to go. So think about how construction goes. Okay. So we've got Sally in accounts payable, and, she just gets those invoices that come in, and she just knows that on Thursdays, usually on Thursdays, she just takes that stack of paper over and she gets them approved. She just knows it. She's been doing it for 10 years, so she knows. But what if she forgets? And now you got all those suppliers don't get paid. Or what if you had to hire somebody else? And that new person, well, they don't know because they haven't been doing it for 15 years. So you've got to have a process, things like lists, things like flowcharts, things that connect the dots so that people can say, this information comes in, then it goes to here. And then this person checks off and it goes to here. And then it goes to here and it does this thing. Then the check's approved. It gets put in an envelope, even to that level of detail, stamped, and it gets sent out. You've got to have things delineated and defined so that you can manage them, so that you can train people for them. If you're growing, you don't need just one Sally in accounts payable. You need 3 because your business is going to do $100 million. And how do you scale that? How do you take all that information and document it? And so systems really are just documenting and then monitoring and managing all of those different things that happen in your company. And contracting and subcontracting, there's a lot of stuff going on. When you start breaking down the processes, oh my gosh, there's hundreds of steps to some of these things and how they happen.